to what you do. I'm Jai, and this is my lovely assistant Ingrid. And we're going to do barbecued smoked tri-tip today. And it's pretty easy to do, a lot of fun. You need to have a smoker to do this, and you can get them cheap. They're a little bit different from a barbecue, but we'll get to that later. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to trim the fat off of our tri-tip beef that we have, which is really nice. We want to get rid of some of this fat that's on the tri-tip. If you buy tri-tip, it's got a lot of fat on there, so we're going to trim this off. And you don't have to get all the fat off of it. When you smoke or barbecue, you can, allow some of this lard basically to work into the meat. Just kind of shave off this stuff. Maybe just a little bit more over here. All right. Good spot. Because I'm doing a dry rub, I like to get rid of some of this this little sheathing right here. Just cut it a little bit. Helps get the dry rub in the meat. If you don't do this, then the seasoning won't get into the meat. Alright. Okay, so we have trimmed the fat and scored the meat so we can get our seasoning in there. And here's our ingredients for our dry rub. Usually I have, let's see, about, I'd say it's about a third of a cup of salt. And maybe about a half cup of brown sugar. And the purposes of a dry rub is that you want something that's going to both season the meat, but also absorb some of the outside moisture, right? And so that's pretty important. So we're going to go ahead and add about maybe 2 tablespoons. I'm using granulated garlic here, but you can use a little bit less salt and use onion salt. You can use garlic salt or onion powder or dehydrated garlic. Here's some cayenne I like to put in there, a little bit of spice. What's kind of fun is if you go around and look at seasoning salts, they have the ingredients on them, and you can go ahead and kind of just figure out what goes in seasoning salts. All different kinds. Cayenne style, European style, Louisiana style, I guess that's cayenne, and Texas. But I like a sweet salt kind of rub. That's what I use for my barbecue. And you'll see it turns into a real nice glaze. Okay, so now I got my meat here, and it's a little bit wet on the outside. And before I put the dry rub on, I see that it's just got a little bit of moisture on the outside. And a trick that I learned on how to get rid of some of this moisture is you just put it on a plate, you don't cover it. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the freezer for about 20 minutes. It's not going to freeze or anything, but it's going to start drawing some of that moisture out of the surface just before I put the rest of the salt and sugar on there. I'll take care of the rest of the moisture. And you want to get rid of this surface moisture because when you put it in the barbecue, the smoke will get into the meat, but if it's got too much moisture on there, you won't get that little dark rind that you want that's got all the flavor. A little bit of a browning action on the outside of the meat. So what I'm going to do is pop this in the freezer real quick. we've trimmed our meat and put it in the freezer, and it's time. It's been 20 minutes. We're going to take it out and take a look at it. All right. So this is pretty good. You know, it's got a lot less moisture on the top because the freezer itself just kind of takes the moisture off the surface of it and takes it out. And you know, it's a little hard on the tip, but that's okay. We're not going to put it on the grill right away. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our dry rub and salt and sugar, mostly with a little bit of garlic and some cayenne pepper, give it a little bit of spice. We're going to pat it down really good. What we do is we just pat it down, making it kind of thick, basically as thick as we can get it. When I flip it over, it's going to dump a whole bunch more. We're going to put the rest of it on there. All right, and kind of shake it off, scoop it, and get more out of it. Make sure I got enough on there. We're going to go out and start the barbecue and get it up to temperature, and then we'll be ready to throw it on, okay? To get this thing going, what we're going to do is get started. So I'm going to go out with the chainsaw and cut a couple pieces of manzanita. Alright, so we're going to use real Northern California wood in our wood smoke. This is manzanita, also called Northern California mesquite, without the thorns, which is kind of nice. It's a real dense hardwood. It's got a good flavor to it, and I like it for beef. This particular piece of manzanita I got when I had to cut down a tree on my neighbor's property just up the street here, because it was a dead fir that was starting to lean over towards their house, and so I cut it down and it took out a couple of manzanitas, so we dragged the sticks out over here. And so we're gonna chop this up into little bits so we can throw it in the smoker. So this is that good dry hard wood from this manzanita. You can see the coloring in it, and I've got our manzanita wood that we're going to throw on there, and we've been salting, brining the meat. You can see the moisture has come out already, and it's ready to go on the grill. So if you want to take a look, you can see we've got a really good high temperature grill going right now, and I'm only having it so high because I'm going to throw the wood on. I want to get this wood burning really good, okay? So you get big solid chunks of wood on there if you can. So just throw those on there, and you can see they're starting to smoke already. Okay, so the wood chunks that we put on there are caught, and we're getting good smoke out of the smoker. So, time to put the tri-tip on. Let that sit for a little while. Come back in about 25 minutes and get temperature on the meat. We're 20 minutes in. We're going to check on our tri-tip we got. Got my handy meat thermometer. If you don't have one, get one. Come on and check it out. So we still have a good smoke, and we scored the meat, and you can see the sugar and salt rub with the juices in there. Now you check your meat temperature by putting it right in the thickest part, and I can tell just by looking at it that it's not going to be ready yet, but you can see the temperature starting to come up. Right now we're going to go until the thick part is at 140 degrees, and so right now we're about 110 degrees. I'd say it's probably gonna be about another 20 minutes, but we'll just keep checking on it, you know, just like anything else. You gotta keep testing it out, checking it out when you go about every 15 minutes or so. Okay, so it's been another 20 minutes and we're gonna do our next check on the meat. And remember, we want to get up to about at least 140 degrees at the thick part. Now, if you come look at the meat, you can see you're starting to get this little bark char along the top edge of it here. It looks starting to look really nice, but I can tell already we've got a little bit of wet around here. So we'll put this in and take a look at it, but chances are it's still a little bit light. Yep, so it's slowing down here. Looks like it's getting about 130, so probably another 10 minutes or so. So we don't want to overcook it. That's the better undercooked than overcooked, that's for sure. And let that finish off, and it'll be ready in about 10 minutes. So we'll see you then. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes, and as you can see, the meat's got a nice bark all around it. It's still a little wet right here in the middle, so it might not be done. We're going to check it again. All right, we got our temperature device right there in the thick of it. And look at that. Just past 140, 145. Okay, that's done. We got to pull this guy. So we don't want to overcook it. Whatever you do, do not overcook your beef. You want some rare in there. All right, so here's our beef. Isn't that nice looking? Look at that. Isn't that pretty? All right, so we're gonna let this sit for about 15-20 minutes. Never, ever, ever, ever cut into your beef right after you pull it off the grill. You have to let it cool, and it's going to draw the moisture into the center of the beef. It's called relaxing the meat. It'll make it a lot easier to cut and keep the juices inside. Keep it nice and moist when you cut into it. So, okay, so here's our tri-tip. You can see all the juices from the meat has kind of come out a little bit, and if we had cut this meat right away when it was still hot, I can guarantee there'd be about twice as much juice in the bottom of this plate. But it just looks lovely, so we're gonna take it out and put it on the cutting board and see what it does. All right, so the cool thing about tri-tip is that you have these narrow strips on the end. So when you go to 140 in the middle, then you have a nice kind of rare or medium rare or even medium cut right there. But if you go in the middle, then you have a nice rare piece. It's just going to be lovely. All right. So you can see you've got a nice kind of a rare in the middle cut and a good bark on the outside, and it's got a nice flavor in it. So you have all the different kinds of the cuts